Yeah. All right. In some parts of the British Islands, boys occasionally play with a toy, which consists of a thin slat of wood tied to the end of a long piece of string, the rapid whirling of which results in a noise that is expressed in the various names given to this simple instrument. Bullroarer, boober, bummer, humming buzzer, thunder spell, swish. Rhombus, the sound of thunder borne on the air. Turnden, brummer, daramulan. Hurere hua, moth, hori hori, darambulam. Po, the small dark companion star of Sirius. Oro, roarer, bull, buzzer, whizzer. Schwerholz, Rombo, Bribben, Burren, Schlagel, Bummer, Buluru, Thunderbolt, Turbine. The name of bullroarer was first introduced into anthropological literature by the Reverend Laura Mathieson, who compares the Australian turnden to the wooden toy which he remembers to have made as a boy called a bullroarer, and this term has since been universally adopted as the technical name for the implement. There is one specimen made by a boy at Balham in Surrey. The ends are square and it is serrated along each side. It has been heard of in Essex, but a specimen has not been seen. In West Suffolk, it is called a hummer and is slightly notched. In East Suffolk, the edges were sometimes plain. There are several specimens from different parts of Norfolk where it is called a humming buzzer or simply a buzzer. The ends are usually square, but the string end is rounded in the last one. The sides may be serrated or simply notched. Along both surfaces of each side, the notches being more or less deep. One specimen, the buzz from mid-Norfolk, is rounded at the string end and pointed at the other, and with only 5 notches along each side. In Cambridgeshire, it was called a bull and has plain edges. In Bedfordshire, its name is buzzer. The Lincolnshire variety, a swish, is quadrangular, like the ordinary Norfolk form, and notched. Its occurrence in the East Riding of Yorkshire is said, but there are no details. In the East Derbyshire, it's known as a bummer or a buzzer. The Derbyshire specimen is piano convex. The string end is square and the other rounded. In nearly every specimen, the string passes through a hole near one end, but in this example, the string is tied in a nick in each side near one end, and the opposite half and the free end are alone serrated. A model of a Warwickshire type has the ends practically square, but the sides are slightly concave in the middle. Another model, also called bummer, said to be used in Warwickshire, Staffordshire and Shropshire, has square ends, and the sides are concave near the string end, and there are 4 pairs of oblique grooves in the middle. The bullroarer was known as a thunder spell in some parts of Scotland, and in Aberdeen as a thunderbolt. A thin lathe of wood about 6 inches long and 3 or 4 inches broad is taken and rounded at one end. A hole is bored in that end, and in the hole is tied a piece of cord between 2 and 3 yards long. It is rapidly swung round so as to produce a buzzing sound. It's believed the use of the instrument during a thunderstorm saved one from being struck with the thunderbolt. In other places, it is used merely to make a noise. It is commonly deeply notched all around the edges. There is no doubt whatever about the value of the bullroarer for impressing the uninstructed. Its sound, once heard, remains a vivid memory, and even a hardened anthropologist cannot hear that ominous roar booming through the forest without feeling its power and forgetting for the moment that it is caused by a bit of wood twirled on the end of a string. Bullroarer, boomer, bummer, humming buzzer, thunder spell, swish, rhombus, turnden, brummer, daramulan, purere hua, moth hori hori, darambulam, po, oro, roarer, bull, buzzer, whizzer, schwerholz, rombo, bribben, burren, schlagel, brummer, bullaroo, thunderbolt, turbine. I'm finished. This is a toy of magic origin, its many names, an epoch-crossing, boundary-dissolving spell. A cord threaded through a hole at one end of a slat, firmly fastened to withstand the tension of multiple revolutions. The cord is wound up tightly, and the shaped slat of wood or stone or clay or bone begins to be swung around at arm's length. Two opposite rotations are occurring in parallel, that of the thread and that of the slat, a double cosmic spiral dancing, an archetype alive, a kind of community support provider, mediating a spiraling transformative energy. The timbre emerges, enveloping us as we enter our individual spaces of listening through our interaction with this sonic event. The sound has a whirring, burring, oscillatory, infrasonic deepness. It moves in intensity, shape-shifting. It beats like wings or wind against an immovable object. It can gush like water, and it flows too. We breathe our own sphere within its sphere. Our inhale and exhale a continuous Ouroboros loop of energy. The aerophone pulses, its timbre a cosmic breath experienced and mirrored by our own inhalation and exhalation. These slats of wood or bone or clay or stone can be spun while the spinner is stationary, encompassing them too in this cosmic whirl, as a child is the center of centrifugal force as she rolls down a hill. Consciousness is altered and a oneness occurs. There is widespread belief that the bullroarer existed prior to deities or ancestral spirits, which seems to somehow reinstate ancient symbology across cultures that puts sound at the center of creation. Is it really acceptable that every human tribe must invent an oval board held by a cord and whirled around the head for certain magical purposes? Is this simple, powerful sound an indication of a collective consciousness at work, an osmotic river of knowledge flowing outside of our bodies from which we draw down ideas and practices? Man whirls a board, or blows into a hollow branch or a shell or a bone, and a voice answers. What voice? Whose voice? Not his own. Not another man's. Is it a spirit, a demon, an ancestor? A supernatural power, invisible and impalpable, becomes audible. A magic manifestation is brought about by a man's act. The basis of such magic belief is the conception that man can act upon one part of the world by utilizing another part, which then, in magic belief, becomes interchangeable with the first one. The fish, for example, often represents the idea of fertility owing to its copious roe. Far from being a mere symbol, as it would be in modern civilization, it embodies the fertilizing power. Thus, a bullroarer with its elliptic fish shape, serrated borders like fins, and occasional scale design signifies procreation. To intensify this meaning, the bullroarer is often painted red, the colour of blood being the colour of life. The fish shape of the instrument connects it with water, its voice with the wind. By forcing the bullroarer upon nature, man is convinced that he can make her send rain. And we look at the semantic field of Rhombus. Rho yields the following. Under Rho we find Rima, the river, the stream, Rio, everything in dissolution by flowing away and apart. Rhombus is connected to Kimbo and Kyklos, and the modern derivation of rotation. Rias is the upwelling and breaking forth of forceful currents and undercurrents. Rhythmos is again connected to Rhombos, Kimbo, and Kyklos. It is the rhythmic recurrence in all cyclical processes. Also the proportion of Pythagoras' frame leading us into harmonia. Much is written of the bullroarer as a phallic symbol, however, seemingly inexplicably one which is kept hidden from women on pain of death. Woman is excluded from the holy ceremonies. Terrified, she waits apart when the night wind carries the wailing from the bush where the boys are initiated. She is forbidden even to see the sacred instruments. A woman who has looked at a bullroarer must die, and so must the man who has shown it to her. But a little-told myth of the Kiwai people of Papua New Guinea tells another part of the story. A woman is alone in the forest. She is chopping firewood. As she brings her tool down, cutting into the bark, a chip of wood flies off into the air, and she hears a buzzing sound. She is enthralled and catches the splinter, so creating the first bullroarer. But that night, her new piece of magic sound clutched tightly in her fist, she hears a voice in her dream, instructing her to give the magic to her husband. In another myth, a woman gives birth to a bullroarer. She is pregnant, and her husband hears a soft whining in his wife's abdomen and is highly intrigued. One bird after another is sent out by him to extract the mysterious something, this strange sound emanating from her swollen belly. At last, while his wife is stooping down with her legs wide apart, sweeping the floor, a bird manages to get hold of the protruding thing and extract it. It is the first bullroarer. And so, we could return to the bullroarer as breath, as first breath, as birth, and its sound a fertilizing wind, a spirit breeze, a holy gust.
Thank you.
Thanks. Just to mention, my voice was weaved in with a number of other voices, Alfred C. Haven, Beth Hagen, Alan Dundee's, and a few others. Hope you enjoyed it. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, if you would like to come up and have a go.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
These are all replicas that we've made of bullroarers that have been found around the British Isles, as I described in the beginning. And this is part of an ongoing research performance project into this amazing instrument. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, before any of you go and spin on a bullroarer, I'd like to say thank you all very much for coming today. It's been a really great day. Thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you to Jacob on the sound desk. He really helped. Thank you to our booksellers. Thank you to Robert and Carlin, who've been tweeting. Lots of you have been tweeting. Thank you, but they've been tweeting pretty much everything. Thank you to everyone who helped, Dowie, Sid, Andrew, and everybody else. We are going to the pub. If you are interested, there's a space reserved at the back of the Enterprise pub, just that way, for the haunted landscape. And we never really leave the haunted landscape. I think we've all learned that today. So we hope to see you again another time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just a really effective